What's going on, my PT peeps, my Walking Dead family, and my fighters? I'm One Eye Bry, also known as PT. You don't know if I'm winking or blinking, but I'm definitely thinking about The Walking Dead Season 11, Episode 4, review, recap, breakdown. So obviously spoiler warning for all things Walking Dead. And if you haven't seen Episode 1104, please stop watching now as I don't want to ruin it for you. But overall, it's another good episode. It's a slower episode. It focuses mainly on Daryl, Dog, and the Reapers, and it's okay. It's a building block episode that should set things up later this season. Hit that subscribe button, like, share, subscribe, help support the PT channel any way that you can, but either way, we truly appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much. Now, Season 11, Episode 4 is titled Rendition. Daryl and Dog get captured by the Reapers. They are taken to the Meridian and reconnect with a familiar figure from their past, Leah. Now, Daryl is the focus of this episode from our group, but Leah comes back around. We meet Pope and the Reapers. Now, it starts off with what Daryl and Dog did after the woods. So you see where Negan, Alden, and Maggie went last episode. This episode, you get to see where Daryl, Dog, and I guess also Frost. I forgot to mention him. We'll talk about him in a couple minutes. But ultimately, Daryl and Dog are focused here, which is cool, but it's a slower episode. A lot of stuff still in the dark. Kind of hard to see from time to time, but overall it's a slower episode, but it's still a good episode, and it sets things up for later on this season. A building block episode. It's not really a bottle episode, but it is a building block slower episode. Daryl goes to some building, he tracks down some of the Reapers, and Dog stays with him. And I know he's a trained dog, but the dog would be running around or barking, but either way, Daryl picks up a brick, throws it over the roof, makes a bunch of noise. This Reaper goes right to check out the noise, and then Daryl, I don't even know what Daryl's trying to do here, because I'm not sure where this is, but Daryl fights a Reaper, he gets captured, Dog gets captured, but later on, not here, because Daryl gets away. So Daryl fights this Reaper, and he throws his crossbow at him. I don't know why you would do that, but ultimately he throws the crossbow at him, and then they fight, and then Dog bites the Reaper, and the Reaper tosses Dog into the woods, and Dog goes away. We don't see him for a little bit, and Daryl yells no. These three Reapers come behind Daryl. Daryl throws his knife. Well, there's another Reaper that comes. There's only two in this picture, but there's three. Daryl throws one of his knives at this person, who turns out to be Leah, and he runs away. Daryl puts the walker guts all over him, but he's by himself. Then we see the same Reaper, which turns out to be Leah, like I said, and she sees Dog by himself. He's like walking around, and it's Leah, so Dog knows Leah. So Dog actually takes allegiance to Leah, which got my wife a little upset. She's like, Dog's a traitor. What are you doing here? Daryl had Dog for a long time, but Leah ends up having Dog, and we see that in the trailer. We'll see it here. But Leah comes back around, and we kind of knew that from the trailer. It just makes sense. And here's Daryl with the walker guts all over him. He puts it on his hands and his forearms, but then he puts the gloves on, and it's over his face. So he's using this to stay away from the walkers. But this is what we see. Daryl, Dog, and unknown Reaper, which turns out to be Leah. Daryl's like, let him go. But she takes off her mask, and it's Leah. Boom. We knew that was going to happen, right? It was one of those things where it's kind of a big reveal, but it's not. It's really the only connection with Daryl and Dog. It'd be great if it was Rick. Imagine if that was Rick instead of Leah. That would be amazing. But either way, Daryl, Dog, Leah, they reconnect. Dog is hanging out with Leah, and she even makes a joke like, yeah, well, I thought Dog liked you better. Nope, because Dog is staying right there by her side. And what's interesting here, well, it just makes sense, is that Daryl is lying to Leah and the Reapers, saying that he doesn't know Maggie and Negan and the group. He just came across them. So he tries to protect them, and he lies several times. Leah's not buying what he's selling. She points her double-barreled shotgun like she did before at Daryl. And they reuse very similar story arcs in this episode with Daryl and Leah. And I'm not sure if it's just lazy writing or it's just obvious to them that they should have done this, because we know that Leah and Daryl talk about each other and they care about each other. And Daryl came back, and hopefully you saw the 10C extra episodes, because if you didn't, you're like, what happened here? But ultimately, Daryl and Leah are reconnected, and we knew this was going to happen. She wasn't pregnant, or she didn't say anything about that. That could still be a thing. We've had some theories back in the day, and it's all good. But it's one of those things that didn't come up. Maybe she'll say that down the road. But she points her double-barreled shotgun at Daryl like she did before inside her cabin. And it's kind of cool. I mean, Angela Kang said this was the plan all along, even before Season 10C, the extra episodes. But Daryl's in trouble. He ends up getting captured by the Reapers and taken back to the Meridian. And my question is, how far away is this Meridian? Is it another state? Is it walking distance? Or is it miles and miles away? So here's Daryl getting captured, and here's the Meridian by the Reapers. And it's just one of those questions, like, if Maggie was here at the Meridian and it's kind of close, why didn't she come back, way earlier? I don't know. Maybe it's a plot hole. Maybe I'm overthinking it. But Daryl is taken to the Meridian, and some people thought Frost was going to be one of these people here. He's not. He's actually captured. We'll see him in a little bit. He's beaten up, and he's a prisoner of the Reapers. He's not a traitor. We thought that could be a possibility because The Walking Dead loves that angle, that's for sure. But ultimately, we think that they reuse some story arcs here with the whole Daryl, Saviors, Negan angle, Pope, Negan, Fire. It just comes up multiple times in this episode. But Daryl is waterboarded repeatedly, and to me, it's kind of a waste of water. But they're trying to interrogate him, and they're trying to get answers. And it's interesting because these are mercenaries. We thought they could be South African, but I think they're American. And we see Pope, there he is behind Leah there, and we see different shots of what Daryl sees through the cover. The waterboarding takes place numerous times, and Daryl doesn't give up any answers. He lies to Leah about the group, but then later on he talks about the group and talks about a woman leader, a tall, skinny guy that doesn't shut up, a priest. So he gives up Father Gabriel, Negan, and Maggie. So he gives up some information, but not anything to make you think like, oh, he's going to join this group. But Leah has a plan for Daryl to make Pope want Daryl on their team. This guy definitely has the hots for Leah. Maybe they're former boyfriend and girlfriend, or they dated or whatever. Maybe they're still dating now. But Daryl is captured, and it's one of those things that we saw this with the Saviors, and they're kind of doing the same thing again, which is okay. I don't mind it. It's just like, it was a similar story arc that, wasn't the best. But Daryl's tortured. There's no easy street. There's no music. It's waterboarding instead of music. But Daryl is taken out of that room and put into a cell. So Pope, we find out, is this guy, which is much better acting than the first shot we saw of him. And we find out that the Reapers, Daryl lets us know that there was 15 Reapers. And in this picture, I count 12. So that's a high number of the Reapers right there. And if there's only 15, I guess there was more. They took a few out, and we get to see one of the people that were killed by our group. And they're doing some burial, religious ceremony thing. I don't know what to make of it, but they talk about religion and God. And Pope is very religious, and he talks about his time in the military and how they were kept alive. And it's kind of cool to see. That is definitely the same tattoo that Leah had in season 10C. So they're the same group. Leah even talks about that Daryl left, Leah went away, and she found this group, her family, and she joined them. So they're definitely a group of mercenaries. So we thought they could be South African, but I don't think so. I think they just took aspects of different special forces, and The Walking Dead did that. So they're going to turn out to just be U.S. military special forces that became mercenaries. Pope sees Leah as her daughter, the daughter-like figure, and he really cares about her. Daryl's in the jail cell, just like the sanctuary, and they want Daryl on their team. Leah is really pushing to have Daryl join them. You got to give me some information. And this is when Daryl gives up about Maggie and Father Gabriel and Negan. He would definitely give up Negan, that's for sure. And you know who he's talking about? He doesn't say their names, but he describes them. Then before that, we see Frost in the other jail cell across the way. They take him out, beat him up, don't get any answers, and we see Frost is not a Reaper. They beat him up. He has allegiance to Maggie, but he's still alive as far as I know. So a lot of people were thinking that he could be a Reaper because they do the traitor angle. Doesn't look like it's happening here. But they're reusing the Daryl captured joins the other team angle. So Daryl never really joined the Sanctuary and the Saviors, but he's joining the Reapers. At the end, he passes the test and he's a Reaper. But is he really going to flip-flop against our group? Definitely not. I don't see that happening. That would piss a lot of people off. But here's the connection with Leah and Daryl, and they care about each other. I just see it leading to Leah ends up dying to save Daryl and maybe even Dog. But they go into a room, the same waterboarding room. They wanted to talk to Pope, and the room is set on fire. So this was actually turning out to be a test where Leah and Daryl had to escape. Forged by fire, trial by fire. Daryl saves Leah and himself, but he saves Leah first. And that's the way Pope wanted it. Pope was all about protecting the others, giving up yourself to protect your group, your family. Daryl, Leah, It's kind of over the top, but I could see what they were doing. Everybody's watching them. It's a test. Pope is standing there. They say their little salute and their mantra, but Leah knows it was a test. She joins her group, and it's kind of crazy to think that, what if they both died in there, right? But Daryl lives. You know, Daryl's going to be the last man standing. He just looks at Pope. There's a lot of dialogue with Pope, and the actor did a great job. Even though I just think he's from the South, and I'm not sure where they're trying to place the accent, but the hat looks pretty terrible here, I have to say. The fire, burning it over the top, I believe they wasted gas. But overall, it's a test. It's very dramatic. Daryl's joining the Reapers, forged by fire, trial by fire, very symbolic. And then Daryl and Pope talk. Daryl straight up says that he doesn't believe in God. He believes in himself now, not anymore. But Pope is very religious, and he tells him why. Because of the stuff he saw in the military, that they shouldn't be alive, there was fire all around them. And I don't know if Daryl's believing it or not, but Daryl's playing the game, and he's doing what he has to do to survive here, right? So Pope is all about having people around him that he trusts and he can count on. And everybody loves Daryl, so they welcome him to the Reapers. They are the Reapers. And this is not where Terminus was filmed. Some people think it's the same location, but it's definitely not. Then Pope talks about this guy. That this guy right here, I think his name is Bossy, and he has wounds on his back. He carried the other Reaper that was killed 10 miles on his back. And everybody's looking like, what is Pope doing? You kind of feel like, Pope is definitely putting a lot of emphasis on this guy. Daryl is gaining intel about all this. He's taking it all in, and it's Daryl being Daryl, right? Well, Pope did not like the fact that this guy's wounds and injuries are on his back, like he was running away from the fight, and they run towards the fight. So he ends up throwing this guy in the fire, like Negan threw the doctor in the fire, burned Dwight's face and the other guy's face with the iron. So it's very similar. Dog is watching on, everybody's watching in horror. Well, I guess Leah is. Everyone else is like, that's about right. So this guy is thrown into the fire. Pope steps on his back, and this guy like squirms and squiggles away, but he ends up being burned alive. And you're like, would that really happen? It's dramatic. But that guy in the fire would be, you'd be flailing around and fighting for your life. There's no way you would just sit there. Leah does not like that. Daryl does not like that, that's for sure. But it's ultimately a thing that we know that Pope is not messing around. He's a true villain. But it's kind of like the same thing like Negan did. He's setting an example, setting a tone. Be like, we don't run away from the fight. We go to the fight. We run towards the fire. We don't run away from it. So the fact that Pope killed one of his men because he stayed alive and he had wounds on his back, it's kind of crazy. But Pope's kind of crazy. It's a zombie apocalypse. I just see Leah not liking that. And Daryl did tell them, well, he lied and said that Maggie's group has a bunch of people, more so than the Reapers. So I can't wait to see what goes on. Next episode looks to be about the Commonwealth and Hilltop and a couple other things back at Alexandria. But overall, it's a good episode. It's a slower episode, but it builds and builds some things up for Daryl, Leah, Dog, Pope, and the Reapers. We ultimately see the Reapers fighting our group, but the interesting thing is that Pope was talking about politicians, the military, and how he hates politicians and the government. And that's what I think the Commonwealth is. The Miltons are politicians. So let me know your thoughts. Post your comments below. Can't wait to watch next week's episode. Stay safe, and as always, tell them Daryl.